Good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of you here. So today is going to be somewhat different. I like to get the students, all of you, involved. And so I really want to hear from you. I want us to be talking. I want us to be engaging. So be ready to be working together in groups. Okay, but before we get into the group activities, we will do just a little bit review on cardiovascular disease. My goal is to cover cardiovascular disease, diabetes, renal, and celiac. That's my goal. But I know myself, when I teach, I have a tendency to talk so much, and then I also like to talk to you and let you ask questions. So that's my plan, those 4 diseases, but I want you to feel comfortable in stopping me at any time, asking questions, making a comment, and making suggestions, and that will be completely fine with me because this is about you and you learning and engaging and really not about me. So, but before we go on, let's just go over again what the cardiovascular disease medical nutrition therapy is. And in America, we have what's called the therapeutic lifestyle changes, and that's one diet. And we also have the DASH diet, which is the dietary approaches to stopping hypertension. Okay, have you heard of these two? The TLC and the DASH? Okay, fantastic. So quickly, let's review the percentages of the therapeutic lifestyle changes. We do know that 25 to 35% of the total calories should come from fat, and that 7% of that should come from saturated fat, and then 200 milligrams from cholesterol. Now, can someone tell me saturated fat and trans fat? Can somebody just give me a brief little description about what saturated fat is? What does it do when someone takes it into their body? What does it do to their lipid levels? Okay. Okay. Okay, so that's very good. So basically, you're definitely on the right track. So saturated fat is the culprit that elevates our bad cholesterol, and that is called what? What is the bad cholesterol called? LDL, perfect. And that actually stands for? Yes, that's what I was looking for. Perfect. Low density lipoprotein. Okay, so that's the culprit that raises that bad cholesterol. And the thing is, I personally, when I counsel patients though, I try to keep the negative sounding words to a bare minimum. So if I'm talking about the bad cholesterol, I might just mention it once that it's a bad cholesterol, but I'll just allude to it as the not as desirable fat. I don't want to make it look so bad because I don't want people to think that there are bad foods versus good foods. It's just that if something is high in saturated fat, we just don't want to have a lot of it every day. We can have some of it and that's fine. It's just the amount. So if we can make food look more positive to our clients and to our patients, they will be more open to listen to us, to what we have to say. Otherwise, we don't want to sound like we are food policemen and women. Okay? All right. So next, I'm going to skip that. Okay, so the types of fat, we already talked about the saturated fat. And the monounsaturated fat, what is that? Okay. And it's okay to use the word good for that because it is a good thing. So our good fats or our desirable fats, what does it do to LDL? Okay. Okay. And then Okay, so Maria said it raises the HDL. Actually, you know what? Monounsaturated fat, even though it does help bring down the bad cholesterol, with HDL, if it does elevate it, it just elevates it just a little bit, or at least it leaves the HDL where it's at. It's more of the omega-3 fatty acids that can make an impact on raising that good cholesterol. And of course, what else? There you go, sports, exercise, that's what we want to really promote. And then we have our half and half good, half kind of bad, fat, polyunsaturated fat. Okay, so if I say it's a half and half type of fat, what does that mean? What am I saying about polyunsaturated fats? It's half good because what? It does what? It brings down the bad cholesterol, okay, the LDL. But it also brings down the what? It brings down something else, and we don't want it to be brought down. Yeah, that's right. It's good because it brings down the bad cholesterol, but at the same time, it brings down the good cholesterol too. But it's fine. It's fine to have polyunsaturated fats. Okay, so we know what saturated fats does, and it's found, as someone mentioned here, in all animal products. So that would mean everything that's solid at room temperature, yes. So anything that has a liver. Anything that has a liver will have the saturated fat. So your red meats, for sure, much, much more so in your red meats. And it's also found in all poultry, which is so good too. It's so delicious to eat. Chicken, turkey. But what can we do? What can we tell our patients and our clients when they do eat chicken and turkey? What should they do so that it will be healthier? Remove the skin. There you go. Absolutely right. And if they do like to eat red meat, which hopefully they don't want to that often, just once in a blue moon, what do we tell them? Okay, well, try to get the leanest cut. You have the different grades here, right, of red meat here? Okay, so if we're talking about red meat, if they do eat red meat, okay, not that we want to promote them to eat a lot of red meat, but if they do, what are the leanest cuts? I'm not sure if you have that here, but I'll give it a try. Round, do you have that here, the round cut or the loin cuts? Oh yeah, you're vegetarian, so let's not ask a vegetarian. Let's ask a non-vegetarian. Do you have round loin cuts here? No? Okay, so let's not go there. We just have these different grades in America, so let's do this. If you have a patient or a client, they do eat red meat, that white stuff all around, what is that white stuff? That's your fat. And that's what we call marbling. So I would tell them, if you want to eat red meat, make sure you trim off all that white stuff before you eat it, because that's where that saturated fat is. Okay? And it's the yolk of an egg that has that saturated fat. And how many times do you think is a healthy number of to eat the egg yolks so that it's reasonable? Okay. Yeah, you know, I would comfortably say 2 to 3 times a week. 4, yeah, it's okay. I wouldn't, even for healthy people, say, oh, yeah, eat it every single day, like kind of what we've been having here this week. But but it's okay. It's good. It's not all the time we have eggs all the time. But the thing is, it is that yellow part that has the saturated fat. And in the past, a lot of people would say, oh, it has a lot of cholesterol. Is it really the cholesterol that will elevate that saturated fat, which will elevate the total cholesterol of your patient? Doesn't, bless you, bless you. It's not really the cholesterol. So when I'm counseling patients, I don't really emphasize, oh, eggs have a lot of cholesterol and it's going to raise your cholesterol. I don't even go there. I emphasize the fact that it has saturated fat, and that's what elevates the cholesterol. So eating cholesterol, taking in cholesterol, it will elevate your cholesterol level, but just by a little bit. It's not that much. And of course, dairy products, all milk products will have saturated fat. So you have whole milk here, right? Okay, so that's your full fat milk. Do you have a low fat milk here, the 2%? Perfect. 0.1. Wow, that's very exact. I'm impressed. Okay, so that's better. And so is that considered your non-fat milk, the 0.1? I mean, it kind of sounds, yeah. Okay. So what do people tell you when you tell them to drink that type of milk? It has no taste. Have some people told you it looks like blue water? I'm not going to drink that. It just doesn't taste. Okay, so the thing is, it's because their taste buds are so used to that full fat whole milk. They trained themselves, or we've trained ourselves to like that. But what you can tell them is that you can actually train your taste buds to go the opposite direction. It will just take time. And so I would encourage your patient or your client, you know what? In order to help your cholesterol levels go down, and I see you drink a lot of milk, why don't you drink non-fat milk? I wouldn't do that right away. I would say, well, this is where we'd like you to get eventually. But what you can do, if they don't mind buying two kinds of milk, we sometimes have our patients mix the whole milk and the non-fat milk and just drink that for a few weeks, 4 weeks or so, and then after 4 weeks, change the ratio of that mixture until eventually they're really used to that, more of the non-fat milk. So that's one way. Never expect your patients or your clients to make big changes right away. What will last forever and ever and ever, we hope, is to make small changes. Making many small changes, or not a lot of small changes at once, but making small changes every now and then and just adding will help them feel more relaxed. They won't be so overwhelmed like, oh, I have to make all of these changes all at once. You will never, ever encourage or convince your patients to make a lifestyle change if you give them a list of all the things that they have to do right now. That's why it's best to see your patient and your client more than once and to just build and just start with just a few changes. See, I tell you I talk too much. And I'm only in the third slide. Yes, you're absolutely right. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Okay, yeah, I was going to talk about oils. Oh, palm oil is used here. Oh, good to know. Okay, and do you cook in coconut oil here? Oh, Mr. Translator has a... Yes. Right. To repeat, I will do that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Christian. Okay, I'll do that. Okay, so the question is, I forgot what the question was. Oh, palm oil. That's right. Okay, so thank you, Maria, for bringing out the point that coconut is one of those natural things that does have saturated fat. I know I said if it has a liver, it does have saturated fat. But of course, a coconut does not have saturated fat. So that's one question I will ask when I get to heaven and ask God, why did you do that with coconut? It's supposed to be a natural food product, but it doesn't mean it's a no-no. It just means that your patients and your clients and ourselves, we can have it once in a while. And when it comes to palm oil, I hear that you cook with palm oil here. That has a lot of saturated fat. Do you have olive oil here? Okay, do you use it to cook? Oh, it's too expensive. Okay. All right. I can understand that. It is also expensive in America. But if you do use it, it's best to use it in salads, but not to really fry in it. But if you do, you could saute a little bit because the smoke point is not very high. It gets to the smoke point quickly, and so it can make our food more harmful in a way. Okay. And then I will get to that. I want to get to the canola oil first. Okay, so her question is, which oil was I talking about? I was talking about the palm oil. I mean, sorry, I'm sorry. I was talking about the olive oil. The olive oil, okay. And when it comes to another ideal oil to use, and if you do want to fry with this a little bit more, the smoke point is a little bit higher than canola oil. Do you have canola oil here? Okay. So those two, olive oil and canola oil, they have more monounsaturated fat, and they have some polyunsaturated fat, and they have the least amount of saturated fat. So that's why those are the oils that are most ideal to use. And then all of the other vegetable oils like corn oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, they don't have as much monounsaturated fat. They have more polyunsaturated fat. So healthiest is olive oil and canola oil. Okay. Okay, so back to monounsaturated fats. They're found in olives and olive oil, canola oil, soy products, and avocados. So a lot of times patients will tell you, oh, I don't want to eat an avocado because that's just really high in fat. Well, they're right. That is high in fat. But you will emphasize to them that it's a heart-healthy fat. It's okay. It's good for your heart. If they eat the whole avocado every single day, then of course the calories will pack in. But a few slices in a sandwich, a few slices in a salad. Do you ever have avocados in your salads? Oh, yes. Oh, wonderful. I really could live here then. You eat the foods that I like. So I do love your eggplants here, I must say. And okay, so soy. What about soy products? Do you have tofu a lot? Is it available in the supermarkets? Okay, so it's a good thing because it does have monounsaturated fats. Do you have the veggie meats here? Okay. The only issue that I have with the veggie meats itself, not necessarily the tofu, but the veggie meats, is that they are processed. So they have more sodium. So if your patient, your client is concerned about their sodium intake, of course, blood pressure, then just say, okay, you're vegetarian, and I know you like to eat this, but just have a moderate size because it does have a lot of sodium. So. Okay, got to move faster. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so what about the soy products and them being genetically modified? You know what, in a nutshell, because this can get into a whole discussion with genetically modified products, I will just say I wouldn't worry about it with the soy products. Why? It does not do harm if you eat soy in moderation, if you just eat it in small amounts, okay? If you eat it in excessive amounts, that might be a problem. But there are some of us in America that are not too concerned about that, okay? And as I said, that's an issue that we can talk about all day long, but that's not something that I'm personally concerned with. And so if you want someone else to talk about that, that's fine. That's not my area of expertise because I feel differently about that. And that's my personal opinion, along with some of the other faculty in Loma Linda too. So, okay, so let me go back to, okay, so your polyunsaturated fats, we know that it, that's supposed to say lowers the LDL, not raises it. And it's found in fish nuts, and vegetable oils. So those are your good sources of polyunsaturated fats. Okay, now for nuts, Loma Linda has done studies on nuts and how helpful it is to prevent heart attacks and cardiovascular disease. So this would be a recommendation that I would make to your patients and clients, is to have per week, I know you don't use ounces here, so about 140 grams of nuts per week. What kind of nuts do you have available here? Do you have almonds, walnuts, all kinds? Perfect. Okay, great. And nuts contains flavonoids, phenols, sterols, folic acid, magnesium, potassium, and fibers. So not only are they containing all of those extra things in there, but they also have a decent amount of protein too. So if you're a vegetarian, that's definitely an excellent source, a good source. Doesn't give you a lot of protein, but it gives you a good amount. Okay, so we can get antioxidants from dietary sources, our vitamin E, asparagus, spinach, wheat germ, nuts, salad oils, and creamy salad dressings. And vitamin C, we can get it from oranges, potatoes, dark green leafy vegetables, and strawberries. Why is it important for us to have a vitamin C source at every single meal? It will help us absorb iron. Perfect. Yes, absolutely. So it's always ideal to have it at every single meal, every single snack, so that we're always making sure we're getting enough iron. Okay, so your flavonoids, they're found in those food items there that I listed, pomegranates. I'm just going to skip through these so we can get to where we need to be. Now, when you're counseling your patients on cardiovascular diet, do you ever talk about sterols and stanols with your patients? They don't understand. Okay. Well, you know what you can do is just break it down into very simple terms for them, if you would like. And basically what you can just say about sterols and stanols is that it is a component of plants, of natural foods. And it's just another component that can help bring down their cholesterol levels. So you can just say it as simply like that. A lot of times, if we talk and counsel our patients in the regular scientific words, then yes, they will be lost. They won't understand. But it's our job as a professional, as a dietitian, to break down the language. Not that we're dumbing it down. That's not what we're trying to do. We're just making it understandable for everyone. And the simpler you can convey your teaching to your patients, the better. Okay, but it's not dumbing it down. It's just making it so that it sounds very user-friendly. Okay? But we do have sterols and stanols that are found in margarine, low-fat yogurt, orange juice, breads, and cereals. And phytosterols, you know about that. Soy, you know where that's found. Protein sources. Okay, here we go. We want to encourage our patients who have cardiovascular issues to consume less animal products as much as possible. Okay, if they're already a vegetarian, that's good. If they're not, to begin with, make sure you just impart your knowledge to them, because knowledge that is passed on to your patients and clients, the more they understand that, okay, if I have a lot of animal products, that is going to elevate my cholesterol that I don't want, the undesirable one, and that can lead to disease. So if you impart that knowledge to them, when they process that, that makes a difference in them being compliant later on. They may not be compliant at the very first session. Sometimes when they come see you at the first time, they might be upset that, man, I can't believe that dietitian is telling me all these things. They're taking the joy away from me from eating, and I don't know if I want to do this. And it might be that reaction at first, but don't be discouraged, because later on when they go home, maybe it might be a week later, it might be 2 weeks later, it might be even a month later. What you have told them in clinic or wherever you see them at, they might come to the realization later on that, wow, you know what? I think what the dietitian told me actually makes sense, and it won't hurt for me to give it a try. I've had patients that have done that. You won't always know about all of them, but some of them come back to you and they will tell you. I finally listened to what you told me later on. But just don't expect it to happen overnight. But some patients, immediately when you see them one-on-one, oh, absolutely, they want to follow immediately what you've shared with them. But different personalities will determine different reactions. Okay, so other good sources that we would want to encourage our patients to consume, because protein is important: legumes, peas and lentils, beans, and then of course our soy products. That's another good source. Okay, if you are able to look at the lab levels of your patients, if they have a homocysteine level that is ordered, that would be really good to look at, because when you have higher homocysteine levels, that actually puts your patient or your client at risk of having cardiovascular disease. They would be more at risk for a heart attack, for strokes. And so to help that homocysteine level come down, encourage them to increase their folic acid intake and their vitamins B and B6 and B12 intake. And we talked about that yesterday. Folic acids found in dark green leafy vegetables, orange juice, things like that. B12 a little bit more hard to come by through natural sources, vegetable sources. But that's one thing I would really encourage them to increase, because that would help with their cardiovascular situation. When you are counseling your patients, it really would be nice to have food models. So this is fake food. That's all plastic. And you can order them through the internet, but they tend to be very pricey, very expensive. But eventually, if you can have this in your practice, I would highly encourage you to purchase them. It will be a good investment, because they do make these food models in the correct portion sizes that we would like our patients to know about. But if you don't have any food models to work with at first, then work with what you have at home. For 1 cup, if you want to show your patient what 1 cup looks like, then if you can go to a sports store and just purchase a baseball, that is as big as about a cup of fresh vegetables, of raw vegetables. When you're counseling your patients, showing them 3D or actual sizes will definitely help your counseling. Because if you just talk with no props, so to speak, it's a little bit more hard to understand what you're talking. And people are different learners. There are the auditory learners, and then there are the visual learners. They like to see it, how big it really is, how small it really is. And sometimes you have your kinesthetic learners. They want to touch it. They want to feel what 1 cup feels like. So if you can have that in a basket right beside you, and you're talking about food portion sizes, have a baseball in there. Have a tennis ball, because that would represent 3/4 of a cup of food. That would also represent a serving size of a fruit, a medium fruit, a tennis ball. And then a computer mouse would represent 1/2 cup of vegetables, okay? And 1 egg would represent a 1/4 cup. And if you're talking about meats like chicken, turkey, and you're telling your patient, okay, you can have 3 ounces of meat for lunch, then if you had a deck of cards, that usually represents about 3 ounces right there, okay? And let them touch it, let them feel it, so that they know what that feels like. And then if you're talking about peanut butter, okay, you can have, about 2 tablespoons of peanut butter at breakfast. Well, then take out a ping pong ball, because a ping pong ball represents about 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. And then, if we're talking about cheese, and you had 4 small dices or dies, that would represent 1 ounce of cheese. That would also represent 1 slice of cheese, 4 dices. If you had a matchbox, that would also represent 1 ounce of cheese too. So you don't really have to buy the food models if you don't want to, but you can use little items that you have around the house to convey your message. Always make it visual at the same time, just so they understand things better that way too. Okay, so those serving sizes that we were talking about, if you wanted to use the DASH diet, the dietary approaches to stopping hypertension, these are the recommended amounts of vegetables, fruits, protein. So here in the DASH diet, they encourage 4 to 5 servings of vegetables per day and 4 to 5 servings of fruits per day. Yeah, that's a lot. So if you had as many tennis balls and as many baseballs in front to show, that's what we did at a children's fair that we had last May. So we had the tennis balls and the baseballs, and we said, okay, children, this is how many you're supposed to have of fruits and vegetables every day. And they wanted the baseballs and the tennis balls instead. And we said, no, we're not giving those away. But see, the visual is very helpful. And then they go home saying, okay, I'm going to try to do what they say. Now, we're going to quickly talk about a low sodium diet here. The reasons to follow a low sodium diet, depending on what type of patient you have. You might have a patient with congestive heart failure, okay? And what happens when they have a lot of fluid built up in their bodies and they're not able to get rid of that excess fluid? How will they feel with congestive heart failure? It might make it difficult to breathe. And when it's difficult to breathe, it makes it difficult to eat. Yes, it makes it difficult to eat adequately because they're having to gas and catch their breath in between, like chewing and putting food in their mouths, depending on how severe the heart failure is. So that's one of the disease processes, and so that we need to be concerned about with sodium. And there are many others, like, this is not a cardiovascular disease, but also when you have patients with ascites, with liver disease, and they have a lot of fluid built up in their peritoneum area. Sometimes they look more than 9 months pregnant. And so what really helps them is to follow a low sodium diet too. And of course, it can help some people bring down their blood pressure. They say that about, what percentage was that? About 30% of the population, I think the population in America, is salt sensitive. And so, but we don't tell our patients that you may not be salt sensitive, so this might not really apply to you. But we tell all of them with hypertension to just lower their sodium intake anyway, okay? Don't give them that hope that, well, go ahead and have it because it might not affect you. Just everybody across the board. But this will definitely help with decreased swelling, and even if your patients are on diuretics or the water pills, it still is a good idea for them to be in a low sodium diet. So we say that when it comes to how much they should have in a day, your cardiac patients should hover around 2 grams of sodium per day. Some could probably go up to 3, but 2 grams per day is not so bad. That's about 2,000 milligrams of sodium. Now, some patients will ask you, well, how does that look like? And you can tell them, okay, if you take a teaspoon and you put a heaping teaspoon of salt into that measuring spoon, that is equivalent to 2,300 milligrams of sodium. And then your patients will say, oh, I can do that. I don't even eat that much. But it's like, oh, no. That's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm not telling you to take this teaspoon of salt and sprinkle it throughout the day. That's not what you want to do. A lot of the foods that we buy are packaged and they're processed. They come with a lot of sodium. And so we need to bring their attention to that. And so when it comes to salt, you want to encourage them not to use any added salt. But if they have to, just a very tiny bit. But instead, what would you encourage them to use instead of adding salt to your food? What can you use that you have here? Spices, yes. What kind of spices? I'm sorry? Vegetable spices, absolutely, yes. Basil, oregano, oh, those are really good, absolutely. Which one? Penicillin? Parsley. Parsley, yes, excellent. Okay, do you have here like garlic powder, onion powder? Okay, perfect. Yes, absolutely. So tell your patients or clients, instead of using anything that ends in salt, use the things that end in powder or the natural herbs, the parsley, the oregano, the basil. Yes, because food can taste really good with all of those seasonings. But also tell your patients and your clients too, you know what? When we were born with a very clean slate. Our palates were pretty much bland to begin with. And as we grew and as we continue to grow, we actually got our taste buds to get used to really salty foods or really hot foods or really sweet foods. And the good news is that we can train it to go the opposite direction too. So if your patient is saying, oh, but I just love really salty foods, say, you know what, okay, I understand that. So just know that when you cut back gradually on salt and sodium, your taste buds will be in shock. Your taste buds will say, what are you doing to me? Are you crazy? You're killing me. I want flavor. But you know, if you encourage them to just hang in there and just go with the flow, it will be miserable at first. But then later on, a month or two, or maybe even 3, might take that long depending on the person. Later on, when they eat something that's naturally high in sodium or that's cooked with a lot of salt, they'll actually go, oh man, that's really salty. It's because they've gotten used to it. I know I've done that to my own taste buds, because I know that when I decrease my sodium intake, there's a certain situation that I go through that the problem doesn't happen. You know, so I just know that when I started to lower my sodium intake, I was missing those really, see, my weakness is chips. I love chips so much. Crunchy, salty, but yeah, I have a lot of weaknesses, but that's one of them. But I've really done my best, especially this past year, to cut back on that. And I don't really miss it as much. If it's there, yeah, I'll eat it. But I won't go out of my way anymore to buy it. But when I did go back to eating something salty, I did have that, oh man, that was really salty. So you do get used to it. It's also with sweets too. When you get your taste buds used to, you know, getting away from sweets, you'll be, ugh, that's too sugary for me. That's too sweet. So let your patients and your clients know that we can train our taste buds. It'll be uncomfortable at first, but you will get there. Okay, sorry. So anything that's processed, canned foods, frozen, snacks, anything with the word instant. Do you have instant food items here that say instant oatmeal? Instant, okay. Yes, instant mixes. Okay, so it doesn't mean we are telling them you can't have them at all. It just means, well, if you have to have them, then just buy a limited amount. We never ever want to let our counseling be like, never, avoid. I don't like to use those words. There are some old school dietitians that I've worked with in the past, and they love using the word never, never, ever. And I'm not that mindset. But I'm not telling you to be of the mindset like me, and I'm not telling you to be like the mindset of that other dietitian. It's just up to you. It's your own philosophy. I'm just sharing you know, what I've experienced what I know, but I'm never ever going to tell you that this is the way. It's really up to you as to your style and your philosophy of how you want to counsel your patients. And so, condiments, mustard, ketchup, salad dressings, they're high in sodium too. But if your patients love to have ketchup, and who doesn't when you have fries once in a while, you know, a little bit won't hurt, okay? But they are very high in sodium. And soy sauce, do you use soy sauce here? Yeah. Okay, yeah. You know, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce has about 928 milligrams of sodium. It's a lot. And that's another thing you want to be doing when you're counseling your patients. Not just say, okay, this is high in sodium. Here's a list. Go home, take it. That's not good counseling. What you want to do is throw the numbers in their faces in a nice way. And when they see those numbers, they will be in shock. You know, sometimes they buy certain things for many years and they're so used to eating that. But if you take them to the supermarket and you show them, oh, let's look at the label, you know, and they look at the sodium, they'll be very surprised. And again, we don't want to tell them, but you can't have that. Just say, okay, this is high in sodium, so I can have a small portion of it once in a while. It's never about deprivation, because if you take anything away from any of your patients, they will end up wanting to binge on that particular food item later on down the road. Trust me, I've been there. I've done that to myself. I thought, you know, I'm going to try to live without chocolate. Okay, so yes, it lasted for maybe a couple months. And then after that, I just went crazy. You know, if you're deprived of something, there's that human nature that when you do have a hold on it, sometime later, you go overboard. But if you are satisfying your cravings and your wants once in a while, small treats, now and then that's healthy. That's a healthy way of eating. Healthy eating is not staying away from what you love to eat, even if it's high in sugar, high in sodium. It's just knowing how to balance it. Okay, these are the other things that are high in sodium, and these are seasonings that can make food taste better, as we talked about, the herbs and the spices that you mentioned. Okay, now, I'm going to show you some pictures, and you are going to tell me what is a healthier choice. What I've learned in the past years is that sometimes when I talk to a patient in the hospital, there are some that will just nod their head and say yes, yes, yes. And then you're thinking, wow, they're really listening to what I have to say. This is great. I love it. But then I've learned that it's important to do a little quiz with them before you leave them, because then you'll know if they have been listening to you or not. And then this will also give you feedback if you should go back and go over some things with them. So what I would do if I were you and you were counseling your patient, have some pictures up. Or if you don't have any pictures up, you can just ask them verbally. But if on your computer, if you made a little PowerPoint and you did something like this, you know, have your little computer beside you and say, okay, so we've been talking about saturated fats and the good fats and how to lower your bad cholesterol. So we have up here on the left side a hamburger from McDonald's. Does anybody here have a hamburger from McDonald's? Yeah, once. It's really not that great. But anyway, so there's a regular burger on the left side. And on the right side, we have a veggie burger. And that's made out of a soy product. So ask your patient, so which one would be a healthier choice? And what is your answer? The hamburger or the veggie burger? Veggie burger, perfect. And what makes the veggie burger a healthier choice than this one? Okay. That's true on the picture. Okay. But what I would emphasize to them is that the veggie meat will have less of your saturated fat and more of your monounsaturated fat. So you can point those things out to them and ask them, okay, what does the meat have more of? And if they don't have an answer for you, then you know that, okay, they weren't really listening to you in the first place. Because sometimes in the future, when you have more dietitians in the hospital, the doctors will be specifically asking, we need a nutritional consult, we need you to see patient so-and-so because they just had a heart attack and they need to be instructed on a heart-healthy diet. And so, not that the patient really wants to hear about a diet, but the doctor asks for it. So some patients will be just saying yes. And so you think that they are absorbing everything you're saying, but if you did a little test like this, then you would know that, okay, they weren't listening. Then you can point out that, yes, it doesn't have as many of the sauces, but if it does, it might just have a little bit to give flavor. We don't want it to be dry either. We're not about bland taste, flavorless, and no moisture. We want it to be good tasting too. So a little bit of condiments should be in there to make it good. Okay, so we have here again on the left side, we have the another burger from McDonald's. But that picture, you can't see it very well, but it's actually a grilled chicken sandwich. So if you had your patient sitting there, ask them which would be the better choice and why is that a better choice. So pretend you're the patient. The grilled chicken sandwich, you're absolutely right. And why, how is that better than the hamburger? Okay, the bread is made out of whole wheat flour. Is that what you're saying? Whole grain. Okay, so yes, good point. The bread is actually made out of whole grain, which makes it have more fiber. So that's healthy right there. And then what were you saying about? Perfect. Okay, so the chicken in this case, obviously they peeled off the skin, so that lowers the fat content, and it was grilled. It's not fried, so it doesn't have as much of the oil into it because it was grilled, so perfect. So always do that with them and ask them, why is it healthier after you've gone over that with them. Okay, so you had already mentioned this one earlier, but on the left side, it doesn't look like it in the pictures though. But we have the whole wheat roll versus a white roll on the right side. So what would be a healthier choice? If you were the patient, what would you say? The whole wheat, because it's a healthier choice because it has what? More fiber. And what did they do with the white breads? They strip it off of what? Of the fiber, the nutrients that are naturally found in the whole grain, whole wheat products. It has more fiber, more vitamins, more minerals. While the white breads, it doesn't give you that same kind of nutrition. So as much as possible, if you also yourselves, we need to be practicing this ourselves too, so that when we're counseling our patients, they will really listen to us. But white bread, it's okay to have once in a while. It's not that we're saying it's absolutely bad. But if you are going to take in calories into your body, let it count. Let it count for nutrition. Let's not let it be for nothing. Yes, it's giving you calories, the white bread. Yeah, it's probably giving you 1 gram of protein. But other than that, it might actually just plug us up. Cause us to be constipated if we're not taking the advantage of getting fiber from here. So as much as possible, we want to encourage our patients to also choose high fiber because it will also help lower what for our cardiovascular patients? Cholesterol, yes, absolutely. It may not bring it down a whole lot, but whatever it takes to help bring down that cholesterol, in addition to everything else, the exercise and the types of fats, if increasing fiber intake can help too, why not? We have to tackle it in every way possible. Okay, so we have 2 types of cheeses here, and if you presented this to your patient, you will ask them, okay, which is the healthier choice, the white cheese or the yellow cheese? What would you say if you were the patient? Yes, why is the white cheese healthier? Okay, yes. Okay, so your white cheeses, like provolone, pepper jack, Monterey, they still have fat. It's not like it's low fat, but they definitely have less saturated fat than your yellow cheeses. Okay, so encourage them, you know, well, it's cheese, but it doesn't have to be completely taken away. But encourage them, you know what, choose more of the white cheeses. And if you do want the yellow cheese once in a while, great. That's fine. It's not going to hurt you. And so it's just making those choices more often, making healthier choice, and then the less healthy once in a while. Okay, now these are spaghetti noodles. Oops, why did I do that? Okay, on the right side, I actually have a whole wheat spaghetti noodle dish. And on the left side, I have a white spaghetti noodle dish. Oh, which would be the more desirable choice? Definitely, always whole wheat. There are just so many choices around with just any type of pasta that's white. And again, it's okay to have it once in a while, okay? But whenever you can, whole wheat is best. But I will admit that the whole wheat spaghettis, they don't taste as good. It's all right. So then again, this is where we say, okay, we just gotta get our taste buds used to it. But to tell you the truth, my taste buds really never adjusted to the whole wheat pasta. So there are other whole grain pastas that taste better. Do you have spelt pasta here? Okay, that's a whole grain, and that definitely tastes a whole lot better. But that's a personal choice too, because someone else might just love the whole wheat pasta taste, and that's great. I wouldn't discourage them. But just let them know there are choices. There's spelt, I know I have seen quinoa pastas. Do you have the quinoa pastas here? Okay, yeah. And then there are also, yes, rice. You know, I'm glad you mentioned it because I was thinking it in my head and I was wondering if I was making it up in my head, but thank you for saying it. There are brown rice pastas too, so always try to encourage them to go towards that direction. And it would be really nice if dietitians, if you here can also be involved with working with restaurants and being consultants to them. Restaurants need that too, because then you can consult them on their menus and you can make healthy suggestions to them, you know, and say, hey, you know what, you have a great selection of food items here. Always praise them, you know, and then say, you know what would really help? Do you think if it would be helpful to have like a heart healthy section, so you might get more customers to come in if you have some healthier choices, and then give them these ideas. And I bet that they would be interested because, you know, they always want to improve their business and people want to improve their health too, and they would go out to eat in these places if they knew that they had healthy choices to choose from. Okay. On the left side, I have a parfait. On the right side, oh, here's another weakness, ice cream. I love ice cream. And I don't deprive myself of it, but I do love it. Okay, so parfaits, yes, we have parfaits. So which one is the healthier choice? Did I hear both? I think I heard that. You know, that could be a good answer. Let's see, how could we work that in? Okay, you know what? Let's work with that. If your patient did say both, say, okay, you know what? Yes, it can be. Because on the left side, we have fruits, we have the yogurt. So you have the fruits that are giving you your antioxidants, your vitamin A, your vitamin C. And we have some granola that's giving you some fiber. But then we also have some yogurt. And with yogurt, you get protein, you get calcium, okay? And, okay, on the right side, let's be positive about this. We can also, we can have your patient find out what the positive of the ice cream is. There you go, it's got some calcium, so that's got to count for something. Yes, absolutely. And in addition to calcium, it has also some... Oh, oh, you're really pushing it now. That's good. Hopefully it's a dark chocolate ice cream. I don't know if that exists, but if it does, that's great. That's smart. Good. And some protein from it too. So it can be healthy. We can make it healthy. But then we can just point out to our clients and say, well, you know what, although it may be healthy in some aspects, it does have some added sugar. And so we can have added sugar a little bit every day, but then just point out to them that it gives us extra empty calories that we don't need. But once in a while as a treat, it is fine. So it can be a healthy choice in moderation. We have to just be mindful. I like to use this little term that I added, mindfully moderate. We have to be mindful in being moderate in our choices. Because if we are not mindful, we just eat whatever we see as much as we want, that can get us into trouble. But if we're mindful about what we're choosing, we're mindful about the flavor, we're enjoying it as we're eating it, because we don't need a whole lot. That's what you can tell your patients too. You can have the ice cream. You don't have to have a big bowl, because some of them will be like, I just can't enjoy it with a small amount. But tell them, oh, but you know what? If you just take the time to shut the world around you and just slowly and carefully enjoy that flavor, the texture of the food that you're eating, you just need that small amount. You don't need a lot. It's just that they're talking to people, they're doing other things, they're working at the same time trying to enjoy this ice cream, but they don't give attention to it. And so they're thinking, I didn't really enjoy it, so I need more. See, that's where the problem comes in. But if we're mindfully moderate, we just take that moment to enjoy eating it. Like I enjoy eating an ice cream sandwich. Then, you know, I only need it once in a while. But if I were left to my own devices, oh yes, I would have an ice cream sandwich every day. I did that 1 month because I was really sad about something. And so I did have a chocolate ice cream sandwich every day, and it got me sick at the end, you know. So nutrition can really make you or break you. It really can. Okay, so on the left side we have a fried chicken with rice, and then we have beans and rice on the right side with a few slices of avocado. So if you were the patient, which would be the healthier choice? Yes, rice and beans, definitely. And why would it be healthier? It still has protein. Okay, well, yeah, that has an avocado on there, so we have the good fats, exactly. Okay, and then with fried, chicken is usually deep fried. So when it's deep fried, okay, you have the trans fats in there, but when anything is deep fried, more oil, more calories, more fat is added to that food. And so it makes it more calorically higher in calories and more fat. So that makes it an undesirable choice. But again, it's not like they can't have it. If they really want to once in a while, then they can. But this is something that we can encourage them to do more often. And when you're counseling your patients, if you can have different recipes already on hand with different varieties of what to do. Because you know what's not helpful is just telling your patient, eat beans and rice. That's a better choice. That's okay, but you know, if you can give them ideas how to flavor it, here's a recipe that you can work with and send them home with it. Give them some ideas how to flavor it, what else to add, and that makes it exciting for them. Encourage your patients and your clients to cook for themselves, not to always eat out. And the thing is, they'll say, I just don't have enough time. Well, you know what though? If you point out to them that the time that they invest in cooking is really an investment on their long-term health, then if they see it that way, then okay, it might make it look much more doable for them. Do I have another? Okay, so that was the end of that part. So that's just an example that I want you to take home with you. When you see patients and clients, have some pictures up there. Okay, so, oh man, an hour goes by so quickly. Is it time for the break? Or? Okay, all right. So this is what I want you to do. I have paper. So Dr. Monica, if you can please help me. Okay, if you can get into groups of five people, Okay? And what I want you to do, so you can start dividing into your groups. But according to your plate here, I would like for you to come up with a lunch menu plan for a pretend client. So your client has come to you and says, could you write up a menu for me and tell me what I can eat for lunch? So according to the guidelines of making half of your plate fruits and vegetables, and a fourth of it whole grains, and a fourth of it are protein, can your group please come up with a lunch menu for a heart-healthy patient? Someone who has cardiovascular issues, their cholesterol is really high at this point, they're on the verge of having a heart attack any day, and you are going to help them with at least lunch. So, according to this guideline, come up with a plan, and then we are going to collect those and we will share and talk about the menu that you came up with. Okay, so maybe if we can take a few minutes in each group to work on that, that would be great. Okay. Okay, yes, and then we'll have the break after. Okay, that sounds good. Okay, yes, in groups of no more than 5. Yeah, just a lunch meal. Yeah, yeah, so talk about what your entree would be, what your this and that would be in your meal according to this. What would be a balanced meal here in Romania? Okay? Yeah.